Okay, so here we are going to discuss with micro and macro. As the name says micro, micro means small. Small in the sense what? Here we will be studying about individual units. In microeconomics, we are going to study about the individual units. Whereas when we talk about this macroeconomics means macro means large, right? Macro means large, means we are going to study in the large quantity. That means it studies total economy. Study about economy as a whole. Means total economy we are going to study under our macroeconomics. Basically, when we study about our economy, we can't study what is happening in our country completely. We cannot study. So what we will do, there are two concepts to study. One is micro and macro. Micro study means what? First, we will study about the individual units, right? Then later on, we study about the total economy as a whole. This is what the two approaches are there to study about the micro and means to study about our economy. So here we can say micro means small, macro means large. Microeconomics studies about individual units, macroeconomics study about economy as a whole, right? This way we have differentiate. We have more points to differentiate between micro and macro. Now, we also say that micro is also known as price theory. Microeconomics is also known as price theory. Why? Because we are studying about individual units. That is the reason it is also known as price theory. Whereas macroeconomics, it is known as income and employment theory. So our macroeconomics is known as income and employment theory. The next one, in microeconomics, it explains our microeconomic explains price determination based on demand and supply. Based on demand and supply means how we will determine the price here, means whatever the price mechanism is there. So, when we say here, this price mechanism is what? Means when we increase the price or decrease the price. Increase or decrease the price depends upon demand and supply. Whereas in macroeconomics, it is based on aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate means what? Total. Throughout the country, throughout the economy we are studying. So, it depends. Whatever the price mechanism, increase or decrease or changes in price is there, that is based on our aggregate demand. That means total demand in the country and total supply in the country, right? Whereas in micro, as we are studying individual unit, it is based on individual units demand and supply. So, price mechanism is based on demand and supply. Here it is based on aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Okay, then next one here, price determination is done in both price determination is done in both commodity market and factor market. So, in our microeconomics, whatever the price determination, how we determine the price? We determine the price for individual product. Individual product, it can be in the commodity market or it can be in the factor market. What is commodity market? Commodity market means where goods are purchased and sold, where our commodities are purchased and sold. What is factor market? Where all the factors of production is bought and sold, buying and selling of factors. Factors means what? Our land, labor, capital, organizer. These are also sold in the market. That market is called as factor market. So, price is determined in both commodity market as well as factor market. The next one, our macroeconomics, what happens? It deals with what it will be done when we study macroeconomic analysis. It deals with national income, right? Then we have employment levels in the country. How much of employment is there in the country? Inflation. So in the total economy, what is going on in the total economy? How much is the national income, right? How much is the employment level in the country? What is the inflation rate in the country? These all we are going to study under macroeconomics. In micro, we determine the price. In macro, we study about the total economy. Okay. And also we say that micro, it is also called as partial equilibrium, because we are studying only one part, only one individual, whereas macro, it is termed as general equilibrium. General means as we are going to study about the, in general about the total economy, right? So this is partial. Micro is also known as partial equilibrium. Macro is also known as general equilibrium. And one more point of difference we have, that is micro is static in nature. And micro is dynamic in nature. You remember the meanings here? Static means no change. Whatever may be the change happening in the country, it will not affect this. Static means stable, which is not changing. Dynamic means changes according to the time, right? As the time changes, there is a change in the economy. That all will be considered under macroeconomics. So, these are the main differences between micro and macro. If you remember these points, it is a compulsory 5 marks question. Almost every time they are repeating this question for 5 marks. So simple points you have to remember here, or you may get only micro for 2 marks or only macro for 2 marks. Even for 2 marks or for 5 marks, you may get these questions. Thing is, you have to understand the concept. What is micro? Micro means small. Microeconomics studies about individual units. Microeconomics is also known as price theory, right? Microeconomics explains the price mechanism based on demand and supply. And microeconomics helps in price with microeconomics. Price is determined in both commodity market as well as factor market. Microeconomics is also called as partial equilibrium and it is static in nature. So when you are writing for 2 marks, any 3 points you can write from this. What is point? When you are writing for 2 marks, out of these, any 3 points you write, you can get 2 out of 2, right? Same macro. Macro means large, as the simple word macro, which means large. Macro is study about the total economy as a whole. We can say total economy, not individual, total economy as a whole. And macroeconomics is also known as income and employment theory, because it studies national income, means throughout the country, throughout the nation, how much of income is generated in the country, what is employment, that's why it is known as income and employment theory. Then this macroeconomics is based on aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Aggregate means what? Total. What is the total demand in the country and what is the total supply in the country? Depending on that, means that study will be done by using macroeconomics. And macroeconomics deals with national income, employment, inflation, all throughout the economy, what is going on, that all will be dealt by, means that all we will study with the help of macro approach. And macroeconomics is also known as general equilibrium, and it is dynamic in nature. Dynamic means what? Which changes as the time changes. Macroeconomics means our what we can say, national income changes. Day by day, national income will change. Day by day, GDP will be changing. Day by day, employment rates will be changing. So that change is considered by using macro approach. Got it? So when you get macroeconomics for 2 marks, you have to write any 3 points out of this. 3 points you write, you can easily score 2 marks from this. Okay. So is it clear with this micro and macro? Micro, as the name says, small, it is study about individual. Only one unit can be studied. One product pricing, one product, how much supply is done in the market, whether to increase the price of that one single commodity, that is studied by using micro approach. Whereas macro approach means we are going to study about the total economy. In Indian economy, what is the GDP? In Indian economy, what is the employment rate? So that study we do with the help of macro. So to study the economy means now we are going to study Indian economy and all. To study this economy, so both micro and macro are useful. Okay. So this completes your 5 marks answers, right? Like yesterday we have discussed with utility. Utility, types of utilities, 1 5 marks question. Micro and macroeconomics is another 5 marks question. Clear? So just go through, see these points. We will go to the next question here. Let's see the difference between micro and macroeconomics here. This you may get for 2 marks or even for 5 marks also you're getting this one. Right. So shall we move to the next question? Next 5 marks question we are going to discuss from the first chapter, that is characteristics of human wants. Characteristics of human wants. Why we are studying about human wants? Because our economics is completely dependent upon human wants. Why? What we study in our economics, we study how to satisfy our wants with limited resources, right? If our human wants are not there, what we will do? What production we will do? What distribution we will do? Why we earn money? Why we do all these things if human wants are not there? If we want something, then only that activity will go on. Means we can say that our economy or economics is completely based on human wants. Means in economics, whatever we study, like resources, utilization of resources, or how to earn income, how to get the money, how to do the work, everything is based on our human wants only. If we do not have any wants, what we will do? We don't do anything, right? Nothing, no economy will be there. So that's why human wants are the basis for all economic activities. We also can say here, human wants are basis for all economic activities. What are economic activities? Production, distribution, consumption. So the economic activities are production, distribution, and consumption, right? To do all these things, our wants are the basis. So that is it. Means if your want is there, you want to have some food, production should be done. That should be distributed from point of production to the point of consumption. Once it is distributed, then only you can consume that. Okay. So these way wants are the basis for all economic activities. So that is the reason we are going to study about the human wants, characteristics of human wants. What are the features? Characteristic mean how our human wants are there. First feature, our human wants are unlimited. Do anyone have limited wants? No. All our wants are unlimited. Means if one want is satisfied, immediately another want arises. Right? That's why we say human wants are unlimited. And another feature is particular want is satiable. Satiable means what? At one particular time, only one want will be satisfied. One want at one particular time. That means what? Now, for example, I'm feeling hungry or I'm feeling thirsty. Both at a time I can't take it now, right? Water and food I can't take at a time. Only one I can satisfy first, then next one. So, particular want is satiable. Then, wants are having competition. Competition means what? One want and another want will have a competition. So, like what we can say, we are having so many wants now. I want money to buy a car. I want money to buy a house, right? I want money to buy clothes. Like this, I have so many wants, but money with me is very limited. Wants are competing. If I have money, first I should buy a car or buy a house or buy clothes. What should I do? So that way, wants are competitive in nature. And we can say wants are complementary. Complementary means what? Dependent on each other. To satisfy one want, another want we have to satisfy. For example, you have a hobby of painting, right? If you want to paint, what only painting hobby means, that is not enough, na? You require paper for that, you require colors for that, you require pencil for that. Means paper, pencil, colors, these all one by one, they are dependent on each other. That's why we say to satisfy one want, we have to satisfy another want here. That's why means wants are complementary in nature. And wants can be substituted here. Human wants have substitution. Substitution means what? In place of another. For example, if you're feeling hungry, you can have food. That means you can have fruits or you can have rice or something like that. Means we can substitute that one. Now you want to watch a movie. You can go to the theater and watch it, or you can watch it at home. Means you can substitute, right? Replace. Then next we can, another feature is wants are recurring in nature. Recurring means what? They are occurring again and again. Means our want will never be satisfied. Okay, if today I bought clothes, right? My want is to purchase new clothes. I have purchased them. It will not stop here only. That will be reoccurring again and again. Means maybe after 1 month again I want to buy clothes, or maybe after 2 months I want to buy the clothes. So that's why we say they are recurring in nature. And wants change into habits. Habit, if you are doing anything continuously, it may change into a habit now, right? So wants change into habit, and wants vary with time, place, and person. Wants vary with time, place, and person, because one person want will not be same with another person. One person wants something else and you want something else. Time to time also our wants will change, right? Morning I want something, but I don't want the same thing in the evening. My wants are changing. From place to place also it will change here. So these are all the characteristics of human wants. So again, this will be your 5 marks question here. Okay, characteristics of human wants. Our economics is completely based on human want. Whatever we study in our economics, it is completely based on our human wants, right? Means wants are the basis for all economic activities. This will be your introduction. Wants are the basis for all economic activities. Our wants features unlimited, wants are unlimited, right? If one want is satisfied, another want arises. Particular want is satiable. At one particular time, we can satisfy only one want. Wants are competitive in nature. Wants are competing. Which one to satisfy first? They are competing with each other. Wants are complementary. Complementary means what? They are dependent on another one. Wants can be substituted. One want can be substituted with another want. Wants are recurring in nature. Means the want, whatever the want we are having, they are reoccurring. Again and again, they are reoccurring. Want change into habits. If you want anything, right? For example, you're feeling some headache or something like that. You want to have a cup of tea. If you do that regularly, it may change into a habit. So want change into habit. Wants vary from time to time, place to place, and person to person, right? So this is a very simple 5 marks question here. So with this, we have completed the 5 marks question. One more scarcity definition is there. That is not that much important. Better you can prepare these questions. So what are the 5 marks questions we have prepared here? Just see what are all the questions we have discussed. 5 marks questions. First question, utility and its types. So like yesterday we have discussed this question, utility and its types. Utility is a power of a commodity to satisfy human want. The types, form utility, time utility, and all. Now second question we have done is difference between micro and macroeconomics. That now recently we have done this question. Difference between micro and macroeconomics, that 6 points are there. If you write that 6 points, that is more than enough. Now next, characteristics. Analyze the characteristics of human wants. Analyze the characteristics of human wants. Like we have seen, wants are unlimited, wants vary from time to time, place to place, and all. That 6 points, if you explain, you will get it. So these are the 5 marks questions you are having. Now coming to the 2 marks question from first chapter. Like we have discussed, free goods and economic goods. As you, like if you remember, free goods which are given by nature, economic goods are the goods which are man-made. Free goods does not have price, economic goods have price. Free goods, there is no cost of production, economic goods have cost of production. So like that, these will be for 2 marks. Then next one we have capital goods. Capital goods or consumer goods. Capital goods, consumer goods, intermediary goods. Intermediary goods, these are the different type of economic goods we have discussed in the previous class, right? Then next one, we also have this one, microeconomics. Next, macroeconomics. For 2 marks, these all questions, you may get it for 2 marks. Like from first chapter, you are having first chapter, you will have 2 SAQs and 2 VSAQs, right? In this, we have discussed with 3 SAQs and all the VSAQs we have discussed over here. And also wealth will be there here. Wealth is another concept we have discussed, which is nothing but stock of assets, right? And one more concept we will discuss, that is price. Price means what? For any economic good, as we said, all the economic goods have price. Price is value of goods expressed in terms of money. Value of goods expressed in terms of money. That is called as price. Like all economic goods have price. So when you are writing the 2 marks answer, that is price. I'll write it clearly. So when you are writing the 2 marks answer for price, here we can say value of goods expressed in terms of money. This is one point. Like I said, 2 marks answers, 3 meaningful points should be there. So value of goods in terms of money. Then another point is all economic goods have price. Free goods does not have price, but all economic goods have price. So we can say rupees 10 we are paying for 1 pen. 1 pen cost is rupees 10. So 10 is the price of the commodity, is the value of that pen. So this way you write your 2 marks answer. This is more than enough. One more 2 marks we have, like yesterday we have discussed wealth. Wealth means what? It is stock of assets held by an individual or institution. Held by an individual or institution. This is called as wealth, right? It can be cash, gold, shares in the companies, or any we can say other inventories and all. So these all comes under wealth. So wealth can be transferred, wealth is having utility, and wealth is having scarcity, right? So these points you write about the wealth. So your 10 marks, 2 marks answer will be completed. Okay. Then, okay, these are all the questions you have to revise from this. You just see. So utility, right? Difference between micro and macroeconomics, characteristics of human wants. These are your 5 marks questions. And 2 marks questions, free goods, economic goods, capital goods, consumer goods, intermediary goods, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and price, then wealth. So these are the questions you have to prepare from your first chapter. So this completes your important questions from the first chapter. Whatever we have discussed in the class, like yesterday's class and today's class, these will come for your questions for your exam, right? Prepare these questions. So your first chapter will be completed. If you are thorough in these questions, like 2 5 marks questions, 10 marks, and 2 you will be getting like 2 5 marks. So you may get 10 marks and 2 marks questions, 4 marks. So first chapter, if you are thorough, 14 marks easily you can score from your first chapter. Clear? So this completes your first chapter. So let us start with our second chapter. Basic introduction we'll do. Okay. Second chapter, it studies about theory of consumer behavior. Means in our second chapter, we are going to study the basic concepts regarding to the consumer behavior. Means how consumer will satisfy his want, right? So to study consumer behavior, first we are going to study basic concepts, which is very useful for your 2 marks again. Okay. So first today we are going to discuss only with the basic concepts. So first in consumer behavior, we study about utility. Like in first chapter only we studied about the utility. Utility means what here? Power of a commodity to satisfy human wants. Utility means power of a commodity to satisfy human wants. This is called as utility, power of a commodity to satisfy human wants. And here we can say utility is a subjective concept. Subjective means what? We cannot measure them in quantity. That's why we say utility is a subjective concept and it differs from person to person, time to time, and place to place. Means what the product is giving utility to you, it may not give utility to the another person. So it differs from person to person. What is useful to you may not be useful to others. Time to time means the usefulness changes from time to time. Like in rainy season, umbrellas may be useful to you, but in winter season, that may not be useful. So like that, time to time, place to place. When you are in one place, one product may have utility. When you are in other place, another product will have the utility, right? So these are the points you can write for 2 marks. If you get this question for 2 marks, you have to write this one. Okay. Now, we will see the approaches, the 2 methods to calculate the, why we are studying utility? Because we want to study the consumer behavior. So there are 2 approaches of utility which are used to study consumer behavior. Means how consumer is getting satisfaction. To study that consumer behavior, 2 approaches of utility is there. One is cardinal utility. Other one is ordinal utility, right? Cardinal, 2 approaches of utility to study consumer behavior. One is cardinal utility. The other one is the ordinal utility, right? Now, is this clear with the utility? Now, we will discuss with the concept, the 2 approaches of utility in detail, which is very, very, very important for your 2 marks. So, first, let us discuss with cardinal utility. What is cardinal? Cardinal in general. Cardinal means what? Numbers. So, cardinal utility means utility which is measured in terms of cardinal numbers. In terms of cardinal, what are cardinal numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. What is cardinal utility? The utility means the satisfaction. What we are getting is measured in terms of cardinal number. So you remember here, utility means we are taking it as how consumer is getting satisfaction. Okay. So the consumer satisfaction is measured in terms of cardinal numbers. Like when I am using, for example, I am using some vehicle, 2-wheeler I am using. How much satisfaction I am getting? I am getting 10 utils of satisfaction and like that. So these are called as utils, right? These numbers what we are using here are called as utils. I'm getting 10 utils of satisfaction. I'm getting 15 utils of satisfaction, like that. So that is called as cardinal utility. And first point is this one. Second point, it was developed by, this approach was developed by Alfred Marshall. This approach was developed and used by Alfred Marshall. Alfred Marshall, as we say, He is the father of modern economics here, right? He explained about the consumer behavior and he used the approach of cardinal utility. So he developed the approach of cardinal measurement. And this one, by using cardinal utility, law of diminishing marginal utility, which we are going to study in the next classes, diminishing marginal utility and law of equimarginal utility are studied with the help of cardinal utility approach, right? So, simple 2 marks question you are getting over here. Cardinal utility means what? Utility which is measured in terms of cardinal numbers. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, which are called as utils. And this approach was developed by Alfred Marshall, who is father of modern economics, and law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equimarginal utility are derived from this cardinal approach. Means they are based on cardinal utility. Okay, so this is how we have the cardinal approach. So, means our satisfaction is measured in cardinal numbers. Now, second one we have, that is ordinal utility. Ordinal utility means what? See, cardinal, ordinal, I said two approaches, two methods of calculating the utility, satisfaction, which is derived by the consumer. Now, in this chapter, we say utility means satisfaction, how consumer is getting satisfaction. Okay, so here we can say utility measured in ordinal numbers. What are ordinal numbers? First, second, third, so on, right? Why we say here? Because in reality, if you observe, can we measure our satisfaction? I got 10 satisfaction. I got 20 satisfaction. Can we measure our satisfaction? No, that is not possible in reality. But Alfred Marshall used it to explain the basic consumer behavior. In reality, how we calculate our satisfaction? First product gives me more satisfaction. Second one gives me less satisfaction. Third one is giving me very less satisfaction. So like that, we are comparing. Okay. Based on our scale of preference, we are comparing and we say first one is giving more satisfaction. Second one is giving more, means depending on, that is nothing but we call it as ordinal utility. Utility which is measured in ordinal numbers. So here, utility is measured based on scale of preference. Utility is based on our scale of preference. Scale of preference means what? Which one I prefer first, right? Which product I will take first. Then what I will take next. What I will take. So our utility is based on our scale of preference. So this concept was developed by ordinal utility concept was developed by modern economists Hicks and Allen, right? So for 2 marks, you have to write all these points, simple points I'm giving here. So this ordinal approach was developed by Hicks and Allen, modern economists. And this approach is used to explain consumer behavior by using indifference curve analysis. So, based on ordinal utility, how we measure consumer behavior is explained in indifference curve analysis. So, these are the points you will write for your ordinal utility. So, this is again for your 2 marks question. Second chapter mein, cardinal utility, ordinal utility. You may get it for 2 marks, right? So, now cardinal means what here? Measured in cardinal numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and all. Like I am riding a vehicle, 4-wheeler I am riding. It is very smooth and everything. I am getting 90 good satisfaction. How much? I am getting 100 satisfaction or I am getting 50 satisfaction. Like that I can say. That concept is called as cardinal utility. This is explained by Alfred Marshall. Means to explain consumer behavior, cardinal utility is used. Next, ordinal what? Ordinal is what? Means where we cannot measure, right? In reality, if we see, I cannot measure my satisfaction. Now I eat some, I'll have one cool drink. How much satisfaction I'm getting? I can't say in numbers, right? So that time I'll say, first one is better than second one, or this is better than that. That is based on scale of preference. Scale of preference means what? What consumer prefers is called as scale of preference. What I prefer first. Now I'm feeling thirsty. I want water, fruit juice or cool drink, right? In that, which one will I choose first? That is called, means I will choose first water, then fruit juice, then later cool drink. So that way, scale, which one I prefer first. That is called as scale of preference. And this approach was developed by Hicks and Allen. And indifference curve analysis is based on ordinal utility approach. Clear? So this is all about your second chapter, that is utility. Utility means what? Power of a commodity to satisfy human wants. Utility is a subjective concept. Utility differs from person to person, time to time, and place to place, right? There are two approaches of utility. One is cardinal utility, other one is ordinal utility. Don't get confused here, because in first chapter also, we studied about utility. But in first chapter, what we have studied? We have studied types of utility. Types are different, approaches are different, right? Types of utility for 5 marks. This cardinal and ordinal are the methods. Okay. So this way we have two approaches. One is cardinal approach and the other one is the ordinal approach. Is it clear with this utility, ordinal, cardinal and all? Okay, fine. So, like before starting our diminishing marginal, which is very important question, some small concepts are there. Again, for 2 marks, you will get that one. We will study, that is total utility. What is total utility? Here we are going to study with total utility and marginal utility. These are the two concepts we are going to study here. First, what do you mean by total utility? Total utility is the total satisfaction derived by consumer by consuming all the commodities. By consuming all the commodities means when we consume means what? When we take, right? Like 1 apple you are taking, you are getting 10 satisfaction. 2 apples you are taking, your satisfaction will increase, because as you take more and more, your total satisfaction will increase now. For example, first apple, 10 satisfaction, right? Like we are assuming, we are measuring in cardinal numbers, not ordinal. Okay. Second apple we are taking. From 2 apples I take, my satisfaction will increase here. So from second apple, 20. 3 apples I am taking, all the 3 at a time I am taking, my satisfaction will increase now. Total satisfaction it may increase up to 28. Okay, so like that, as the number of units are increasing, my total satisfaction increases. So, what is total utility? It is the total satisfaction derived by the consumer by consuming all the commodities. So, that is called as total utility. So here we can say total utility is a function of quantity. Means as our quantity increases, our total utility also increases here. So here you can see, as I take more and more quantity, my unit total satisfaction is increasing. So it is a function of quantity. Total utility is a function of total quantity. Total utility is a function of total quantity. So this is how we write our 2 marks question again. So these all simple terms, you may get it for 2 marks. Okay. So this is total utility. Now, second concept we will discuss, that is marginal utility. Remember these concepts in throughout your first year economics. You will come across the word marginal, marginal, marginal. Marginal means what? Additional, extra. Okay. You can say here, like in simple terms, if I say extra satisfaction by consuming extra unit. In simple language, if we say, okay, extra satisfaction by consuming extra unit. Because when we take one extra unit, obviously we will get extra satisfaction. That is called as marginal utility. So if you are writing the answer, for your understanding, I said extra. But when you are writing your answer, you have to write it additional utility derived by consuming additional unit. Means when we take one extra unit, we are going to get extra satisfaction. Okay, how we will calculate this one? Mu is equals to TUN minus TUN minus 1. Okay, so this is how we have the marginal utility concept. Now, based on this, we are going to discuss very important law in next class. Okay, just go through all the 2 marks and all what we have discussed till now. Okay, so tomorrow again we are going to continue with the law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, so this is all for today. Please prepare all these questions now. Thank you.